Magnificat anima mea Dominum,
et exsultat spiritus meus in Deo salutari meo.
Welcome to the new episode of the theme St.Teresa of Avila, Mother of Interior Souls. Prayer, as we know, is a love affair with God. Love can be manifested either through set formulas or with spontaneous words or without words. Set formula, for example, when a boy tells a girl, "I love you," she reciprocates, "I love you too." Similarly is prayer, which is a phenomenon of love. When we express our love for God through prescribed formulas, we call it vocal or verbal prayer. When we express our love for God without words or spontaneous words, we call it personal or mental prayer. There is, however, no real distinction between vocal prayer and mental prayer, according to St. Teresa of Avila, because the end of these two forms of prayer, rather two forms of love, is God Himself. For her, vocal prayer is verbalized mental or personal prayer. Many say often that they are not able to concentrate their attention on the words they utter while reciting the vocal prayers. This is due to several factors: physical indisposition, loss of good reputation, psychological anxieties, wounded feelings, preoccupation with one's job, sense of insecurity, misfortune of our dear ones. All these disturb a man during the recitation of vocal prayers, because that is the time when he is left alone, undisturbed by others. Once we know the vocal prayers, once we know these vocal prayers by heart, these prayers flow from our lips without our being aware of what is being recited. For these various reasons, vocal prayer tends to become a burden for many. St. Teresa gives an excellent method of reciting vocal prayers devoutly when one is psychologically unable to concentrate his attention on the same. She writes, "If while I am speaking with God, I have a clear realization and full consciousness that I am doing so, and if this is more real to me than the words I am uttering, then I am combining mental and vocal prayer." She continues, "You will find it very helpful if you can get an image or a picture of this Lord, one that you like, to use regularly whenever you talk to Him, and He will tell you what to say." St. Teresa's mind comes to this: when you are not able to concentrate your attention on the prayer being recited, you may do the following in order to practice vocal prayer devoutly. While reciting prayers, let your attention be on God rather than on the words you say. As an aid to this, you can occasionally turn your attention for a moment to God who resides in the innermost depth of your heart. Or look at the tabernacle where Jesus dwells. Or look at a picture of Christ kept in your book or on your table. Or look on a crucifix. Meanwhile, you may be subject to involuntary distractions, which will not minimize the ardor of your prayer. This is all what we can do. We are not machines. Of course, if we were machines, we could brush aside all our distractions. We may not have, of course, the psychological satisfaction of having recited the prayers well. But our intention in prayer is not to satisfy ourselves, but to tell God that we love Him, that we try to love Him and try to do His will. This is all what we can do in this situation. Listen to St. Teresa of Lisieux, who too found vocal prayers a real penance and at the same time found a solution to the same. She writes in her autobiography, "It is a terrible thing to admit, but saying the rosary takes it out of me more than any hair shirt would. I do say it so badly. Try as I will to put force on myself, I can't meditate on the mysteries of the rosary. I just can't fix my mind on them. For a long time, I was in despair about it. This want of devotion. I couldn't understand it because I have such a love for the Blessed Virgin that there ought to be no difficulty about saying prayers in her honor, her own favorite prayers. Now, I don't distress myself so much. It seemed to me that the Queen of Heaven, being my mother, must be aware of my good intentions, and that is enough for me." St. Teresa of Avila continues to say that while you are repeating the Pater Noster or some other vocal prayer, it is quite possible for the Lord to grant you perfect contemplation. She says, "I know there are many people who practice vocal prayer in the manner already described and are raised by God to the higher kind of contemplation without having had any hand in this themselves or even knowing how it has happened. For this reason, daughters, I attach great importance to your saying your vocal prayers well. I know a nun who could never practice anything but vocal prayer, experiencing pure contemplation. Thus, even if one is able to recite only vocal prayers, one might attain the fruits of mystical contemplation. As priests and religious, we set apart daily a certain amount of time for mental prayer. It may not be possible to spend the time of our mental prayer devoutly throughout the year. When mental prayer becomes hard, recite some vocal prayers and thus spend the time usefully. For after all, there is no real distinction between vocal prayer and mental prayer. Otherwise, we would be simply wasting our mental prayer time without any benefit. Listen to St. Teresa of Lisieux. She writes in her autobiography, "Sometimes when I am in such a state of spiritual dryness that I can't find a single thought in my mind which will bring me close to God, I say an Our Father or Hail Mary very slowly indeed. How they take me out of myself then. What solid satisfaction they give me then. Thank you very much.